Hello, I'm at 76% of Lttl Htrd by Joe Abercrombie, the first novel in a new series set in the First Law universe, where it's kind of pulling a Terry Pratchett, where we're going from a fantasy novel to industrialization. Though Joe Abercrombie is maybe not going quite that far, we're still in kind of Game of Thrones territory, especially with, sort of with uh, the clash between, um, not Orso, Leo the lion, the young lion, and the Unionist protectorate in allyship with Dogman, who is a holdover, one of the few survivors of the First Law series, who has not gotten himself killed or just died. Though I don't think any of these bastards died of old age. Dogman's probably the one who's got the best chance of actually dying of old age. Where they come in, they do the big conflict with the brute northern men, really brute northern men, who are who go against, oh, what the hell is the name of the guy? He's the young prick cock of the walk who challenges Leo to a battle in the ring of shields. And really, I think if George R. R. Martin was writing this, and the villain definitely was as skilled with the sword, it's like the hero would have died. That would have been it. But Joe Abercrombie, for all his grim darkness, is perhaps, I mean, he lets Leo get chopped to bits, but we have Rika, who forces the long sight and yells at him to go low, at which point he drops to the ground. The blade whistles overhead, and he chops into the baddie's leg. What the fuck is the name of the guy? I can't remember what it is at the moment. That's funny. It's completely out of my head. He's the asshole, cocky asshole who was just toying with him and toying with him and toying with him, which Clover, who is on his side of the battle, was like, yeah, that's not like a really wise thing to do, because you never know when a quick little turn of fate is going to turn against you, no matter how seems like you're completely undefeatable. And indeed it does. And the next thing that George R. R. Martin, I have this feeling, would never have done, is his dudes would have killed him. He had, Leo has both swords in his hands. He's got him pinned, balanced overhead, and he spares him, which seems like a very kind of heroic thing. It's like, there's, you know, it's a bit more on the Terry Pratchett humanist side of things than it is on the George R. R. Martin. Well, you kill bastards like this when you got them down, because if you don't kill them, they will come back and get you. And I don't see sparing him going well. Going well. He's a prick now. A defeated, humiliated prick is going to be, it's not going to be good at all. Interesting little development with Clover. Clover, who, he's amongst all of the pricks, young kind of cock of the walk guys who are like, oh, we would never run away from a battle. We are here to kill, kill, kill. And he's like, and Clover's like, it's best to just try and avoid a fight versus get into one, because if you get into one, there's at least a 50% chance you're gonna fucking die, and that's not the way to live. That's not the way to continue on. And he's very much all this stuff, and the battle happens, and he's kind of hanging back, because it's the idiots at the front who are going to get killed, where a young guy says, oh, there you are, well, you're coming with me, you're coming up to the front. And he's like, oh yeah, I am, but you see this bolt here? He says, yeah, and he rams it right through his throat, and picks up, he's like, oh, gurgling and dying quite rapidly, picks up his body, slowly carries it back to the back there to the healers, walking all the way away from the fight because, why get in the fight? Plops him down, and the healer goes, "Oh, he's dead." Oh, that's too bad. But, he's well at the back of the fight. And it's interesting because at the duel, he encounters Shivers, who is a right hard man on Dogman's and Leo's side. And they know each other. And it's like all these like really hard thing, all these like young dudes who are trying to throw themselves as braggarts, as oh, I'm the hardest man. Shivers is just cold, silent, deadly killer. And he kind of leans over to Clover, who's like, "Oh, I'm just a kind of a bumbling fool." It's like, "We both know who you are. We know you and me. We're alike." It's like, holy shit. And he's like, "Yeah." And it's like, oh, that was a really great interaction there. That was a really great interaction. It shows exactly just Shiver's respect for him as another killer. And, it's like, yeah, yeah, I am. But I'm one that's going to live a long time. And it's like, so that is interesting. And Shiver's saying like, we should have a talk someday. And it's not a threat. It's more like, you could flip sides because apparently you said like both of them were like, we've flipped sides plenty of times. We've outlived other masters and known when to jump ship. So it's like, so maybe Clover will end up with the Dogman and Rika. He did actually. His significant thing is he let Rika go when he could have grabbed her for the prick who wanted to basically have her raped to death, which is like, that's really great. So that is a really satisfying little storyline there, if a little bit on the heroic fantasy thing for letting Leo actually live and him sparing the prick. I'm just going to call him the prick. I can't remember his name. I'll have to, hopefully it'll come back up again and I'll know it for when I want to actually talk about this book to other people. Sabine gets out of the city and declares herself and meets Orso. And there's almost a thing of in some kind of fantasies, it's going to be on the misogynistic side of a powerful woman brought low. And there's a bit of it which is just like them having a very intense sex scene, which is sort of her throwing herself to him, which is like a little bit on the queasy making side of like, I don't know how I feel about that. Like she's been completely degraded. And she's now having kind of sex with Orso, who is super thrilled to see her and is like, oh my god. And they do actually do a good reversal of like, she's convinced, he's like we can't be like this, we can't go on like this. And she's like, oh, you're gonna break up, you're gonna discard me because I'm this ruined kind of humbled woman. But he's like, no, would you marry me, please? I didn't come here to save you. That would be ridiculous. I came here for you to save me because I don't have any of the smarts or ambition to be king. But you will make the most glorious queen. So there is that. That is a good part. I just don't know how I feel about that kind of the intense sex scene. Just in the kind of the whole kind of like her being roughened up but through the course of the novel up until this point for that. I don't know. But I do like that. So it's a little bit romancy of like, oh, you'll be my queen. It's like, is this more fantasy-ish thing again? More soft fantasy versus hard-boiled, grimdark fantasy. What else? Yeah, with the revolution, these people who did this uprising, it's like, why the fuck did we do this? We've burned down all these factories. All the poor people don't have jobs, and we are, the poor people are fucked. Like the rich people, it's like, oh, they've lost a bit of money, but they're probably going to be fine. It's the poor people who do not have any employment now because we fucking burned down our own places of employment. We've made things miserably worse for poor people. So it was like, why the fuck did we do this? Kind of, there's that kind of a sense on the thing. All right, I've been yakking for a good bit. I will leave it there. Yeah, I'm very much engaged in the book, even though I'm wondering how grimdark this is. And I mean, not grimdark, but how much it's maybe indulging in kind of lighter fantasy stuff, or toying with it, or I still keep on hearing Terry Pratchett's voice in Joe Abercrombie's work, which is somewhat interesting. And now the Havanese has decided to come and give me little kisses. So I will leave it there. More videos later.